It's like massage music or something.
Yeah. It's a good vibe.
Saving democracy vibe.
Yeah, I like it. It's like the call center hold music.
Yes, right.
You just vibe and while you wait for 30
because
minutes.
they know you're super frustrated with them.
Yeah.
All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to The Holler, tnholler.com. This is where you can find us at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. I say TikTok because that's where Allie is well known, and we're going to talk to her tonight. Before we get into that, I just want to send a shout out to a few people who do keep us going. As you all know, we have hollering all across the state. Thanks to your support, we really do appreciate it. Big shout out to Elisa Parker. If you're buying or selling a home in Middle Tennessee, do it through her. She's super supportive of us. If you need a lawyer, Abby Rubenfeld is who to use. And if you need some jewelry, AJ Martin, not your grandma's jewelry store, Allie, Nashville, AJ Martin, very supportive of us. All right. Thank you to everybody who keeps us going. And we do have a hollering in Clarksville. And that's who we're going to talk about today is Allie Phillips, whose story you may know a little bit something about if you've been following us at all. She just announced today that she's taking her story and running for State House in District 75. Allie, how you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good. Really excited that you're doing this. I think it's awesome when regular folks step up. I know you don't have a background in politics, but you have an incredible story and people need to know a little bit about it. I'm just going to kind of touch on the broad strokes here real quick, and then I would love to hear it from you. But, you know, your background is that you had a really difficult story concerning a pregnancy that you had. You ended up going out of state for abortion care because our abortion ban in Tennessee is one of the strictest in the entire country, even stricter than the Florida one that gets a lot of the headlines. And so I guess let's start there. I guess let me just ask, what would you say is motivating you to run for office?
Miley, my daughter that I lost. Without her, I wouldn't have had this push. Never did I think if you would have asked me a year ago, hey, would you ever run for office? The answer would probably be no. It's because of Miley that she opened so many new doors for me. And in so many ways, she has already helped so many people. And I know this is her purpose and she's not here to fulfill that purpose. So I'm going to fulfill it for her. So that is why I'm running, because with Miley's story resonates with so many women, so many people across this country. It's not a rare occurrence like some people may think. This happens daily. And I feel like it's important that we make sure stories like this are known, because when we keep them silent, then that's what makes these laws come into place. Because so many people are just unaware of how often people actually need abortion access for medical reasons and not just for elective reasons.
Can you give the broad strokes of what happened with Miley?
Yeah, so she was a planned pregnancy. I already have a 6-year-old daughter, and my husband and I just got married last year. We just bought a house, and so we were ready to expand our family. And at my routine anatomy scan, I was 19 weeks, is when we found out just about every major organ in her body did not form as expected. And we were told that she had no compatibility with life. And though my doctor said I had two options between terminating or continuing my pregnancy, the reality of Tennessee is I only had one option, and that was continue my pregnancy. So knowing that the longer I stayed pregnant, the higher risk my health was going to become, I couldn't risk leaving my daughter here, my 6-year-old daughter here, without a mom. And knowing that Miley was unavoidably going to pass, we had to make the hard decision to terminate. And it was a week and 3 days after that high risk appointment that we arrived in New York City. I arrived at New York City abortion clinic, and it was there that I found out that Miley was already gone. She had passed away at some point in that last week and 3 days. So I ended up going into an emergency abortion within the hour because I was then at risk for infections, blood clots, going septic. So it made a traumatizing, heartbreaking experience even more traumatizing and heartbreaking. Also, because I had to go through it alone. My husband wasn't allowed to be there.
So I think it's important for people to realize you wanted this pregnancy. You were trying to have this baby, and following through with it was going to put your life at risk and potentially cost the daughter that already exists a mother. And even in that situation, there were no exceptions for you in Tennessee. What misconceptions do you think people have in Tennessee of these situations, and how hard is it to break through the disinformation that they receive?
So, a big thing that I've noticed with sharing my story online is a lot of people will say, well, you didn't have an abortion, your daughter was dead already. That's not an abortion. An abortion is killing babies. And I'm like, that is where you are so far wrong. An abortion is a medical procedure, it is the termination of a pregnancy, it is removing fetal tissue from the uterus, whether it's dead or alive. And yes, like miscarriages are coded as spontaneous abortions. In my case, because I was at 20 weeks, Miley was, it was diagnosed as a fetal demise, but I still had an abortion to remove her. And I think that's so important for people to understand that just because she had passed in utero, I still had the abortion to remove her. Without that abortion access, she would have been in my body. And then what would have happened to me if I wasn't already in New York? Another big thing that I've just heard back and forth is that, well, if your life was at risk, you could have gotten that care in Tennessee. And I said, Tennessee does have something in place to protect the mother's life, but it is so very vague that even our doctors don't know exactly what it means. Because with my doctor, she said, the longer you stay pregnant, the higher risk your health would become. But my doctor couldn't define longer. An hour, a day, a week, a month, what does longer mean? And the fact that Miley passed at some point in that next week and 3 days means longer was a very short time. So every pregnancy is life threatening from the very start to the very end. It could go bad at any point. And having to sit around and wait until who decides your life is at risk? Is it the politicians? Is it your doctor? Who gets to decide that? Because when you're playing with your life, there's not a lot of time to make decisions.
Right. And one of the criticisms that we hear often about the abortion ban in Tennessee is it puts doctors in a position where they basically have to let you get sicker and sicker and more at risk before they can help you without feeling like they're going to go to prison. Is
Yep.
that something that you think is a fair criticism, that the inverse relationship between saving your life and going to jail actually puts women at risk?
A lot of doctors have left states like Tennessee because they took an oath when they started their position, and that was to give health care to people, and that right and that the quality of care that they're supposed to give and want to give, they can't give anymore. And so a lot of them are leaving our states. And so in Tennessee in particular, we have about I want to say 5 counties. Last I knew was 5 counties that don't even have OBs in their area or hospitals in their area, and about 13 don't have labor and delivery. So these are happening out in our rural counties. So these small towns have to go out to like Nashville or Knoxville or Memphis or the bigger areas just to get healthcare. The other thing that one of the big things I've had to explain over and over again is you have to trust your doctors. Um, there's been a constant doctors are always wrong, get more opinions, this, that, and the other. which fine, yes, get more opinions. Don't just base your decision off of one person. If you're able to get more opinions, do that. But at the same time, we are so far with technology and education and learning with our doctors. It's very rare that they make big mistakes like that. Um, and with that, um, you had said what you said. I know what you said at the beginning, and it was coming back to me.
Just that do doctors feel like they have to let women get sicker before they
Yes.
can act?
Yes. So that is the other big thing is for me, if I didn't go to New York and I was still in Tennessee, I had not had my next appointment set up yet. So one of the big things with doctors is they're already backed up. Like up here in Clarksville, we only have 5 OBs for the entire county. So they're backed up by months. So for me to get into an OB, one, just to make the appointment and see them, and then two, confirm that the fetal heartbeat is gone, and then have to set up the procedure, like how long would that have taken? Doctors, they're scared. They don't know what to do. They want to help their patients, but they also don't want to go to jail, and that's a lot of them won't even touch patients anymore. They're like, that's out of my hands. I can't help you. And so women are getting denied at the door.
I think it's really important for people to realize that this is not where most people are when it comes to this issue. There are people who, consider themselves pro-life that still think you should be able to access abortion care in situations like this, that raped little girls should be able to get abortion care, which Republicans unanimously voted against a standalone amendment that would have allowed that to happen, unconscionably so. So, these are important issues that people need to understand. Your story went basically viral when you left the state to get your abortion care. Then you were on MSNBC talking about this, and now you are suing. You're part of a lawsuit against Tennessee. What is that lawsuit?
The lawsuit is between Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Idaho. Tennessee and Idaho specifically, we are suing for clarification on what the abortion law actually means, because they say, they give exceptions for life of the mother, but there's no like detailed what does that mean, life of the mother? At what point is it life of the mother? And then in Oklahoma, they're not suing the state, as far as I'm aware. It's more so the hospital that denied that plaintiff care at the door. But as far as the lawsuit goes, I can't speak too much on it. But I can say the reason I joined is to fight the law, because it affected me personally. I was advocating against the Roe v. Wade overturn and Tennessee's trigger ban when it happened. I've been very vocal online about how it made me feel and how frustrating it is, never realizing that I was actually going to need that abortion myself. And that's one thing I just want everybody to understand is it's okay to be pro-life for yourself, but somebody else needs that care. And it's not up to us or our government to decide who gets healthcare and when. And I don't particularly like the argument of, oh, well, I give exceptions if, she's going to die, or I give exceptions if a 12-year-old was raped. But when you give exceptions, then you're telling these other people they're not worthy of that same care. And we as humans, we're here on this planet together, and we all deserve the same rights to healthcare as the next person. But at the same time, giving exceptions to women who like me, needed it for a medical reason, you're still voting for the candidate that wants abortion gone across the board. So just because you would say, oh, well, I mean, I would allow her to, the candidate you vote for is taking it away from everybody. And that's why it's so important that you need to focus on, especially at the polls, what people stand for. Elective abortions, it is up to the person, and nobody is going out and using it as birth control every month. And if they are, that is their life and their business. But when you take away elective abortions, you're taking away medically necessary abortions too.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really glad that you're doing this. You are running for State House District 75. People can check out your website You're also on Twitter now. You have a campaign account at Allie for TN, and I have a little bit of a surprise for you, Allie.
Uh,
We are joined right now by someone who's excited about your campaign. Rep. Gloria Johnson is here
Gloria, hi.
to tell you that she is excited about it. Gloria, how you doing? And what do you have to say for this new candidate joining the fight?
This is so exciting. I am excited about this, thrilled that Allie is running, and she's got a story to tell, and it's just critical that people understand how important it is to the lives of women and girls to make sure that we have bodily autonomy for women in Tennessee. So thank you, Allie, so much. I'm so sorry you had to go through what you did, and it's just tragic for women. I just talked to a woman that I knew. I didn't know the situation, but she had miscarried and wasn't sure if anything was expelled, and she had to go to Virginia, unfortunately, to make sure that she didn't get sick or get septic, and that is just crazy. Women in Tennessee should not go out of state for the life-saving care that they need.
Yeah, it's unacceptable, and I'm so sorry to hear about that, and I hope she's healing okay.
Gloria, as far as a candidacy and jumping in, what advice would you have for somebody just as they head out on the trail for the first time? Allie's new to this. Obviously, she's got a voice already on TikTok. People should check her out there, and she's social media savvy, so she's ahead of the game as far as most candidates go from where I'm sitting. But you've been doing this for a while. What advice do you have for a new candidate?
Just get out there and absolutely talk to everyone. It's just so critical because people initially a lot of times get distracted by this, oh, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, whatever. But the reality is what we care about is public education. And no matter what party you're in, you want your kids to get a great education.
Yeah.
Access to health care, no matter who you are. You don't deserve to lose your home or your business because you get sick. And so just people understanding what Democrats want to do is make sure you have access to the health care you need. Make sure your kids have a great public school. Make sure you have a living wage so you're not having to decide between groceries and prescription drugs. And that we have things like paid family leave and childcare infrastructure across the state. I get really tired of our colleagues saying, well, people just don't want to work. No, it's not that people don't want to work, but if you're making $10 an hour, it's hard to pay $15 an hour for childcare.
Yeah.
And so we have a situation where childcare is unreachable for many in this state. Either they're on a waiting list somewhere or it's too expensive. So we have got to make sure we're building that infrastructure so that people can get back to work.
Yeah, and I will say the childcare thing is personal for me. I have an in-home daycare, and I did that because of the wait list and the cost. I had to put my daughter in before school care when we first moved up here last year, and it was about $150 a week just for before school care. She was there for about 30 minutes in the morning, and I'm like, this is it's not affordable. So we had to pull her out because we were having to pay between childcare or gas or like our electric bill.
Right. And those are the things that those are the things that when Democrats support them, they get attacked as socialists. So, I'm sure you'll be hearing that quite a bit from the people who already have. Yeah. From the people who support your opponent. Do you have any last questions before we let Gloria go here? Just, you got a chance to ask a veteran.
I adore you. You know that. Just if you could give old Gloria before she ever ran a piece of advice for what you know now, what would that one line of advice be to the new candidate, Gloria Johnson?
Well, typically us, we're trying to flip seats. We're in upside down races. And what I say is spend most of your time with personal conversations of registered voters who are going to vote. So doorstep conversations, personal phone calls, doorstep conversations with any volunteers. you're not going to change people's hearts and minds with a piece of mail or with TV. Those things help get people to the polls, but make sure you're not spending too much time at Politico meetings where everybody either already knows who they're voting for, or you don't know if they're registered in district. Spend time talking to people in your district on the doors on their doorstep, or giving those personal phone calls to them, because that's how you get people to see who you are, so that they will trust you. Even if they don't agree on everything, they will trust that you're the kind of person they can trust with their vote, and you're somebody who will listen to them.
Perfect. Thank you so
Awesome. Gloria,
much.
thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to let you go so you can go unseat Marsha Blackburn, and I'll wrap up with Allie. Thanks for jumping in.
Thank you. Good
Take
luck,
care.
Allie.
Thank
Here if
you.
you need me.
Thank you.
All right. That was a fun surprise,
That
right?
was sweet. Thank you.
That is something that I don't think Marsha Blackburn would do, is just jump into a random interview at the drop of a hat
She's
and give
busy worrying about
encouragement.
everything else but Tennessee.
Exactly. Well, Allie, I'm so glad we got a chance to catch up. Obviously, we're going to be following your race. Tell people where they can find you and how they can support.
Yeah, so I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Facebook is Allie Phillips for HD75. Instagram and Twitter are Allie, the number 4 TN. And then TikTok is my personal TikTok. It's .allie.phillips. And then allie4tn.com is where you can see my story, learn about my campaign, donate, sign up to volunteer, or, just any way to help is perfect. And we need all the help we can get.
Awesome. Allie, good luck to you. Excited to see how this goes. We'll be watching, we'll be amplifying your stuff. And, we need more young, regular people,
Yes.
moms, women, people with powerful stories up in that legislature hollering the truth. So thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, Allie.
You too.
So that is Allie Phillips. I'm not sure why I look like I'm in a dream here. I think I gotta fix the lighting or something, but appreciate you guys joining. Her candidacy is one that, we've known was coming for some time, but it's really an important one because of the story that she has to tell and how it speaks to the situation in our state. Again, she went through a really difficult pregnancy. She wanted to have the child, had to leave the state to get the abortion care that she needed, and ended up, now suing the state over the experience that she went through. And now she's going to channel that into a run for state house against a guy named Jeff Burkhart, who I don't really know who he is. He's been kind of a nothing up there, but he votes against women's health care. He votes against public schools. He votes alongside them with everything they do. So, that is not the kind of person that's putting the people first. And I think it would be a big step in the right direction to have Allie in there. Allie's website is allie4tn.com. She has a video up there that is a really good one, and you should check that out. She's social media savvy, which I wish more candidates were social media savvy when they got into this. So often, even some of the legislators that are up there don't have much of a social media presence. So, to me, that's part of the job, is to communicate your thoughts, to stay in touch with people, to be accessible. And, this younger generation of legislators, Pearson, Jones, Afton, they're much more handy with social media. And that's a really important, especially for what we do and trying to, amplify things and keep an eye on things. When they can make stuff themselves, it just makes things so much easier. So yes, Monica says he votes with his party over his constituents. Absolutely. I really don't know this guy, Jeff Burkhart, that well, but I do know that he votes kind of similarly to all of them. And, that's not what's needed right now. A couple other things that I just wanted to mention. I haven't been on here since this Nashville Scene article came out about us. I really appreciate that they did this. I wasn't sure what to expect, honestly. Alex, who wrote the article, he showed up about 5 different times at the State House and had conversations with me. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be a hit piece or, talk about us. A lot of the other reporters and, journalists in Tennessee kind of don't really see us as journalism, and will, they haven't been very warm and fuzzy to us. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but Alex did a really good job. It's thorough, it's fair. It's got some criticism in it, which is warranted, but really appreciate that they were willing to take the time and talk about what we do with the holler. And what I always say, and I really believe it in my heart of hearts, is we can't do what we do without you all. You are the holler, whether it's amplifying, subscribing, engaging in our comments. Yes, chipping in a few bucks monthly. That all is how we got to where we are. We started in 2019. We were just an idea. And now we've got 10 hollers hollering across the state. We are able to focus on this full time, and that's all because of you. So I always really, really do appreciate that. And then as a last thing before I let you go, tonight there is a candidates forum in Franklin. So all the Williamson County folks out there, if you want to go be at a candidates forum where Gabrielle Hansen is going to be theoretically debating Ken Moore again, that's tonight at City Hall through, I think it's Williamson Inc. that's putting that on. So, this is just, we've got, I think October 24th is the election. I don't live in Franklin. I live just outside of Franklin, but I spend a lot of time in Franklin, and a lot of my friends are in Franklin. And I just want to say to the people of Franklin, just get this right. It's not like Ken Moore is some leftist that you're going to call a socialist or Marxist. He cast one vote for pride to keep pride around because it was the constitutional and human thing to do. It went off without a hitch. It's a great event. And not only that, but Gabrielle Hansen, her husband was wearing a Speedo at Chicago Pride when he ran for Congress, and she encouraged him to do it. And now she's here preying on the bigotry of people in our community and making that her campaign issue, as though that's the most important thing right now, is attacking the LGBTQ community. It's gross. She has no scruples. She's a liar. And I really hope Franklin is better than that. Now, I've talked to a lot of people who know Franklin better than I do, and they're not so sure that she doesn't have a chance. And I find it hard to believe, especially with the way Jeff Whidbey waxed Glenn Cassida in the county clerk race, but I don't know. And so I beg of you, Franklin folks, please get this right. This is not a hard one. Ken Moore is not, a progressive even, let alone a socialist or a communist. I mean, he's a Republican, conservative. Is he my favorite? No, but he is a human being, and I think he cares about trying to do the right thing. And, he is someone that needs to stay in there if the other option is Gabrielle frickin' Hansen. So please, Franklin, get this right. Do the right thing. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.